Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCardDesigns. Thanks so much for stopping by today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. I've got a fun video today sharing a super cute rainbow card using some JennyCardDesigns products. I've got a rainbow of JennyCardDesigns inks and some of her blending brushes. And let's jump right into today's card project. We're going to start by cutting up some cardstock. And I'm not sure what I was thinking when I started cutting, so this was a good start to today's video. I butchered a piece of cardstock into a bunch of random unknown measurements, and I could have just cut this down into quarters. So I had to do some really creative math to try to figure out what I did. I don't even know. Anyways, I ended up with 4 panels. 2 of those panels measures 3 1/4 by 5. And 2 panels measure 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Alright, so I'm going to take one of the larger panels. I'm going to use some painter's tape here. I like to use this low-tack frog tape. And I'm just going to make sure it's not too sticky. I keep reusing these pieces over and over again. So I'm going to stick that tape down to the back of my cardstock and press that into my glass mat. I'm using a mini Tim Holtz glass mat today for my ink blending. And then I've got a JennyCardDesigns Harvest Flourish stencil. This is a really gorgeous stencil with some delicate designs in it. And I just want to figure out which way I want the stencil to go. And once I get that figured out, I'm going to use a little bit more frog tape and tape the stencil down to my work surface. And we're going to jump right in, we're going to jump right into ink blending. I am thinking of this piece of cardstock as sort of pieces of pie, or maybe sun rays or something. And so I'm trying to blend all of the colors in one little ray to the center of my cardstock. So I first start with JennyCardDesigns Red Velvet, and then I move into Tangerine Twist. And I'm applying the ink quite heavily. I want my rainbow to be really nice and saturated. And then I move into Wild Dandelion, and then Lucky Clover. And I'm also making sure to overlap on the previous color just a little bit. My next color is going to be Blue Lagoon. And then we'll switch to Blue Raspberry. And then Wild Lilac. And then finally Passionate Pink. Now I use a different color blending brush for all of my ink colors, so I don't have to worry about wiping the brushes off during the transition from one ink to the next. Alright, so let's go ahead and peel up this stencil, and we have this absolutely gorgeous rainbow background. I love this Harvest Flourish stencil. It's so pretty, and it really lends itself well to a beautiful bright and swirly rainbow. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up my stencil and take off my little bits of tape and save those for my next card project. And now we're going to work on a card base. I've got this beautiful, smooth Spring Hill digital gray cardstock. This is something I picked up from Amazon because I was having a hard time finding a gray cardstock that I liked. So I'll leave the links for this cardstock in the description box down below. It is a lighter weight cardstock, but if you layer it up, it's absolutely beautiful for a card base. So I've gone ahead and I've cut my cardstock across the 11-inch side. I've cut it at 5 1/2 inches, and then I'll pop it in my scoreboard and score at 4 1/4. This will be a side folding note card that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'll use my bone folder to crease the fold here, and we have a beautiful little card. I'm going to add a piece of white cardstock on the inside of my card base for a personal message, and it'll help create some strength and durability in my card base. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere my card panel down to the front of my card. I've got some strips of foam tape. This is double-sided foam tape, and I'm just going to line the back of my panel up with this foam tape, and I'll peel the release paper, and I'm going to stick that down to the front of my card base, trying to center it as best as I can. And this will just give me some nice dimension, and I like the way that my cards feel with a little bit of foam tape or craft foam in behind the front panel. I feel like they're more of a substantial feeling card. Next up, we're going to need a sentiment, and I'm going to use this stamp set from the Stamping Village. If you don't know what the Stamping Village is, I will leave a link in the description box down below to a video that talks a little bit more about that. It's basically a collaboration of stamp companies in the industry that have come together to support one another and help keep the crafting community strong. So I'm going to use this gorgeous sentiment from this stamp set. It says, "Sending happy thoughts." So I stamp my sentiment with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and an acrylic block, and then I'll use my paper trimmer to cut it out. And then I'm going to use a scrap piece of cardstock to create a few layers of dimension in behind my sentiment, and then I'll adhere this to the center of my card base. I kind of popped it right over top where all of the colors meet in the middle. Alright, looks beautiful. I love the way this looks. And for a final touch to this card, I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle. I have some really pretty gray sparkly jewels, and I think they'll match the card base nicely. So I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and pop a little dot of adhesive over top of some of the dots in this stenciled image. And I'll use my jewel picker and pick up a few different sizes of my gray gems and then just scatter them all around my card. And then that's going to be it. I'm going to leave this card alone. I think it's super fun and colorful and happy, and those little gems add the perfect finishing touch to this card. Alright, so that's it for this card. This card is complete. Here's a close-up look at our finished card project and all the beautiful happy rainbow and sparkle in those gems. I really loved making this card. I had a lot of fun creating a rainbow with my JennyCardDesigns inks. And I have a couple of more cards to show you that I created off camera. They were my sample cards that I made prior to filming this video. For the card on the far right, I used the JennyCardDesigns Heartfelt stencil, and I did the same thing with the ink blending in the same sort of fashion, and I matted it on a black piece of cardstock, and I matted the sentiment as well. I did that for both of these two cards, and I put them on a white card base. And I think that that black really helps those rainbows sort of pop off the cardstock, and the sentiment really stands out. And for this one, I like the way I did the sentiment strip with the black all the way across. A little bit different. And I didn't put any embellishments on the first two cards. I just embellished the last one that I made. I stepped that up just a little bit. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support as always. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy, including a playlist for my JennyCardDesigns product inspiration. I have a ton of videos to share JennyCardDesigns products and the projects that I've made using them. I hope that you'll check those out. Thanks again for joining me. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!